How you doing, Spence?
I am doing excellent. I just got a few chill bumps there, Gary. That was a long time ago. But, brought back some good memories.
Absolutely. It's a week all about memories. It's Iron Bowl week. Of course, I don't have to remind you, you played at a time when Auburn had the upper hand in the series. Certainly that's changed now. But regardless of who's on top or who's struggling, this is one of the great rivalries in college football. You've been a part of it as a player. What was it like going into that game as an Alabama football player against Auburn?
Well, I tell you, Gary, especially somebody growing up here in Alabama and having a brother playing from 92 to 96 there as well, I grew up around that rivalry, and it's one of those things. My wife is actually from Ohio, and I introduced her to Alabama football about 3 years ago and said, listen, you have to declare Alabama or Auburn as soon as you get here. So, this is the biggest game of the year for us, and really, Gary, you really can throw the record out the window. Auburn's playing great football. There's nothing that they would love to do more than to disrupt a great season that we're having, and so it's going to be a lot of fun on Saturday.
Yeah, it will be, and for Alabama, it's all right there. Again, a chance to have an undefeated season, beat Auburn for a third straight year, win the Southeastern Conference Championship, go to the playoff, and win a national title. When you watch this Alabama team this year, and there's been so many good ones under Nick Saban, Spencer, but this one seems to have, I don't know if you want to call it balance or just depth or just every area outside maybe place kicking in terms of the field goals. There doesn't seem to be a lot of weaknesses on this Alabama team. You agree?
I absolutely agree. And I have to talk about Jalen Hurts, Gary. I mean, can you believe that this guy is a freshman?
No.
I really, really can't believe it's unbelievable. He does something that I always wished I could do, and that is he is always very cool, calm, and collected. I always wore my emotions on my sleeve. This guy never gets too high, too low. Look at his stats. He's thrown for over 2,000 yards, rushed for over 800 yards, and I was watching on ESPN this morning. They're talking about him in the Heisman race. I mean, are you kidding? Unbelievable. And the defense, I tell people all the time, it is such an unbelievable job that Coach Saban and his staff have done as far as recruiting talent. If you look at our second and third string players at Alabama, Gary, I don't mean this ugly, they could probably start at any other SEC school. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, and speaking of Hurts and how the game's changed, even since you played, and certainly going back into the 90s, 80s, the 70s, there was a time, Spencer, as you know, when you were recruited as a quarterback, you expected to be redshirted. You expected to sit behind a guy usually for a year or two, and hopefully after you learned the system and got some experience in practice, you might have a chance to start or play. That's different now. We see it around the country, and in this case, even at a program like Alabama, where a true freshman comes in and is the starter. I mean, there would have been a time when that would have been almost unthinkable, but the game's changed a lot even since you played, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has changed a lot. And I tell you, I think one of the things that is helping these freshman quarterbacks and freshman players play, Gary, where I grew up in small town USA, we were able to play three sports. I played three sports, football, baseball, basketball, all the way up until my senior year, and I think now these guys are starting to go to passing academies. They're going to camp. Mm-hmm. They are really tailoring what they want to do in college as a 7th, 8th, 9th grader on up, and they're playing one sport and focusing 100% of the time there, and it's really, really helping them and being able to play at an early age. I think back to what I was trying to do coming from Fayette, high school as a freshman. My goodness, I was trying to learn defenses, cover two and zero coverage and just trying to wrap my mind around the speed of the game. So to see how he has been able to come in, take this offense, learn it, and also be the general on the field, I mean, it really is. It was remarkable. 2004
was kind of your year as the Alabama quarterback. Brody hurt. You were the starter. That game against Auburn, they were undefeated. They had an unbelievable football team, but you guys had a chance in that game. And I remember early, you came out and kind of kicked them in the teeth wound up losing 21-13, but had a chance to spoil their season and almost did. What do you recall from that game?
Yeah, you know what? That was a time we were banged up, we were bruised, we were down. Obviously, Gary, if I were playing, we were down to me at quarterback. We said in the locker room we were just going to throw it all out the window, and we were going for broke, and we were going to let it all hang out and give them everything that we possibly had. And I still, to this day, wish we had 2 more minutes left, because we had just found a few little things in the defense there. We started running the no huddle and started to gain some momentum toward the end of the game. But it was a lot of fun. You can't beat that atmosphere. I mean, my goodness, every little boy growing up in the South, dreams of playing in that game. And for me to be a part of it, I was very thankful and blessed to play in that game.
Yeah, and as I said, Alabama gave them all they wanted. You look at this year, the roles are reversed. Auburn's got a pretty good football team, but Alabama clearly is the best team in the country to this point. When you look at this game, what does Alabama need to do to just go ahead and take care of their business against Auburn? I guess it's easy to say just do what they've been doing, but what are some keys for Alabama in this game against a team that obviously is going to, probably like you did in 2004, they're going to let it all hang out?
Yeah, you know what I think, Gary? I think we need to establish the run early. Just go out and pound the football, physically dominate their defense, get them tired. And with the depth that we have on defense, if we can establish a run game and then open it up for Jalen maybe a little bit more in the second half, I think that our defense should be able to hold them off. But, again, that's how they chalk up the lines, right? If everything was on paper, there would be no need to play the game. So it should be a lot of fun to watch. That's
right. All right, you've been removed from Alabama as a player now for a while, but I know you continue to be a fan, and of course, you brought in here under Dennis Franchione, played under Mike Shula, but now this Nick Saban era, this Nick Saban run. As a former player, are you amazed? Did you think that Alabama had the potential to do this with the right guy, or are you just totally in awe of what Nick Saban's been able to accomplish at UA?
Well, first of all, I'm extremely impressed with Coach Saban and his work ethic. I mean, you hear the stories of the hours that he puts in, and for that guy to continue to work as hard as he does and have the chip on the shoulder and never settling is awesome. It's inspiration to a lot of people, especially in the business world. His work ethic is second to none. Yeah, you look at the university, and Gary, even before Coach Saban, we had a long history and a very storied past. But what he's been able to do here, and the way that he goes about his business as a class act and a professional, and just the way that the impact that he's had on the city of Tuscaloosa. I mean, I can't even hardly recognize the city and the campus anymore because of all the new students, and out-of-state tuition is up about 40%, I just heard, and that's all because of what he's doing. And so my hat's off to him. I think he's excellent. He's been great for the university, and I couldn't be prouder to be an alumni.
Spencer Pennington, our guest, former Crimson Tide quarterback, Fayette County High School standout. All right, tell everybody that's listening what you're doing now. What you up to these days?
Yeah, so I'm living in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I'm a regional manager for a medical device company called Stryker. We do minimally invasive spine procedures and sell the equipment to orthopedic and neurosurgeons across the country that perform those procedures. And I'm married to my beautiful wife, Sarah, who I actually met at Stryker, and have a 6-year-old little boy named Hudson, who's a shortstop on the baseball team. And we're just enjoying life and very blessed and just looking forward to watching the ball game this weekend. And my little boy's a huge Alabama fan, and I hope one day that I could cheer him on there as well, Gary.
Sounds awesome, man. Glad you're doing well. Are you going to be able to go to the game Saturday, or are you going to watch it on television?
We're going to be with family and friends, going to go out of town for Thanksgiving and watch it on television, and it's probably best because I'd be hooping and hollering and acting like a nut anyway. So looking forward to it, man. And I appreciate you letting me be on your show, man. I'm glad you're doing well.
Thank you, Spencer. Good to have you. Good to catch up with you. Take care, my friend.
Okay, absolutely.